No, exactly.
Welcome to Get Your Bell Rung. I am your host, KG. With me is George Strong, the best goddamn referee on the Indy, and as well as Mark, who is just Mark, a Mark. And never fear, Kurt, he's still alive, just hasn't joined just yet. Or I think he's still alive. Fuck, I hadn't heard from him past
He,
hour.
he's gonna be late to his own funeral.
We are on a special day, a Sunday. We normally do our recaps on Saturday for Friday Night Smackdown, but there was a lot of shit going on that we weren't able to do it. That's why we're here today doing it. But before we do this, the big thing in pro wrestling that everybody is quote unquote crying about, complaining. Apparently, Jacob Fatu, the U.S. champ. Oh no, the former U.S.
Former.
champion already on WWE, has a new song out. And on this new song, he drops the word. I'm just joking. I won't say it. He drops the N word. Every everybody, people are losing their shit over this. Um, some are saying, well, he's Samoan, so he should be able to say the word. I don't know. What do you guys thought on this? And I hate to even talk about it, but this is what's going on in wrestling news right now. And I like to talk about wrestling news to say current. So, George, what are your? And I'm not picking you first just because you're black. It's just you're next to me, man. You're next. At least I think you're black.
Yeah, I
I'm
got
not sure
bumped.
sometimes. But what are your thoughts on this? And then we'll go to Mark.
Well, this is news to me. I know nothing about that. I'm so busy seeing rumors about AJ Styles signing a 1 year deal and possibly retired. And here comes this news about Jacob Fatu as soon as we start rolling. Um, he's rapping. Samoans are confused for black people an awful lot, and for gatekeeping purposes, and not me, but just in general, a lot of people don't like to use the word, and a lot of people don't like for other races, not white, like just black races, don't like to see other people or hear other people using it for multiple reasons. Jacob Fatu is a rapper. Then there's multiple white, black, Hispanic, I'm sure other rappers that have not gotten away with saying it, but we didn't know they said it because we don't listen to their music. Again, news to me. I'm not gonna raise. I'm not gonna flip the table over about it because I mean, if he feels comfortable saying it, he probably like I've seen on what's that show? It used to be in Hawaii, Dog the Bounty Hunter. Apparently, Islanders say that a lot to each other. They're almost like if I could say that the culture of African Americans, they're almost like that. So it's like they use the word to each other like, well, like people like me use it, but acceptable, I don't know. In a rap song, a lot of stuff's acceptable, whether people frown upon it or not, because it's rap. Some people don't listen to rap because inappropriate lyrics in general. So I can say with Jacob Fatu, honestly, if I'd have met him and he told me that or said something around me, like, using that, I wouldn't have said nothing. But that's just me. I'm not everybody. I don't speak for everybody.
Well,
So
not
am
to
I okay with
mention,
him using it in a song?
well,
I don't know.
and not to mention, he's Jacob Fatu. I want to meet the person that's going to go to his face and tell him to, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
and let me ask this question because um as white people, as am I, obviously, am Mark and JT, who really doesn't have an opinion. Well, we shouldn't have an opinion about this because we're not the ones that get offended by it. Let me add this question that we could better answer. Being that Jacob Fatu works for WWE, that is owned by TKO, The question is, Mark, do you foresee TKO taking issue with this because of the fact that although yes, he is a rapper, he's also though in the public eye representing WWE that TKO owns. Do you foresee this becoming an issue with TKO?
I think TKO approved it first, all right, before he tried it out on a live show or pre-tape show or whatever. I think it's in poor taste, but um, I mean, if they think they get away with it, more power to them. But I think it's in poor taste, to be honest.
Now, JT, as a guy who has been in the business, as George Strong is, but you've been in the business for 30 plus years, when you work for a mega company like a TKO, is Mark right? Do you think that they pre-approved this before Jacob Fatu actually recorded this song? Or is this something that he's allowed to do on his own? And once again, JT Storm cannot hear us. Man, I thought you got your shit fixed. JT Storm, are you there?
You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, now we can.
Yeah, can you hear us?
There we go. Sorry, it's that new tablet, man. I just want to make sure it's working okay.
All right, can you hear me?
Did you hear the question?
No, I didn't hear the question. That's what I was saying. I wanted to make sure everything was working, and now I can hear, and you guys can hear me. Sorry about that, guys. I really am.
Yep. So the question is, so Jacob Fatu had a new song come out that the N word is dropped in. There are people, and not just black people, white people too, that's calling him out and kind of making an issue out of this. Mark made the comment that he's sure that TKO probably pre-approved this before the song came out. My question is, when you work for a mega company like TKO, right? Are you allowed to do your own ventures, or does TKO have to approve everything, do you think, before they do something?
No, they do. They have to approve everything. They have to approve the songs, everything. If you do bring in your own music, like some of the guys that have done their own music and stuff, they've had their own company, bands do it or hired them or whatever, they do have to get prior approval. It's just like on their gear. Whether people don't believe this or not, but you actually got to get approved on your gear too when you come up with a design. So I mean, there's a lot. You got to get approved for everything.
Yeah, well, I know that you even have to get once you sign on, even to cut your hair or shave your beard off, you have to get that approved first. But and I wish I would have actually. I came across this story right before we went live, and I wish I had time to dig into it. What is the chances that Fatu actually wrote this song, and before he worked with TKO, and it just so happened that it got released?
It's a possibility.
Hold on. Did he use this for a ring entrance?
No.
Oh.
No, I would think it's just like art. It's just like Archer. He may, and I'm not saying JT's wrong. He may not have gotten approval, but I mean, if he's making music on the side, like I think there's a couple of people that are artists outside the WWE. I think Nikita Lyons, for whatever it's worth, she has a career in music. Of course, you have R-Truth. I don't know that it would be any different for Jacob Fatu. And this is just me being and I understand I'm not like super old, but I'm just like, if he's making music and he says something in the song, it's just his music. Like you got the new society where everything's got to be policed and all that. There's some things that do and some things that really just need to be left alone. And I don't think TKO will take any action on it. I mean, with all the personalities they have to deal with between WWE and UFC, I don't think they give a crap what you're putting in your music, not only if it's not like absolutely like racist, inappropriate, offensive music. Like it's got to be like in that manner. Jacob Fatu did it in a manner that we're kind of known of hearing it at. So it's like I don't see it being a huge problem, but if fans make it a big enough problem, maybe. But I don't see him getting punished on screen for that.
Yeah, I mean, perfect example is like some of the UFC shows that you've seen in the past when they come out to their entrances, come out to their music,
Shut up!
Stuff. They pick regular show or songs off the radio, whatever, But if you notice, a lot of them aren't edited too. Because I mean, you'll even sit there and see they're on like if it says "F you," you sit there, you'll watch them sing it. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah. Now this is the kicker, and I failed to mention this on purpose because I want to hear everyone's opinion. This is the kicker. It seems like the people who are making the biggest issue out of this are white people. Like, what the fuck? That's what's crazy to me.
That's
It's
usually
always
the whistleblowers.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, if the black culture. I mean, don't get me wrong. There were, there were some black individual people of color, black individuals who were saying some shit, but the majority of people were white people, and I'm like, come the fuck on, like really?
So to tag along to that, what you just brought in is just like I think about what Indy Hartwell said in an interview about wrestling fans. Like we complain about the IWC, and then there's the same thing with cultures. It's like people that's not in that culture will be more mad than the people in that culture. Wrestling fans are more irritated than the wrestlers. Like say we talk about, oh, I don't like the way this person's getting booked, or there's wrestlers that are like, I like the way my paycheck looks, and I'm okay with what they're giving me right now. And when I have a problem, I'll change it. But I don't need you to speak for me. And that's the way it goes for that. It's like if we have a problem with it as a collective, like let's just say we have this beacon of each culture and we all say, hey, let's talk about this, then but it's not it's not that serious for other people. Oh, you shouldn't be saying that. What do you feel about it? I don't care. Why are you talking about it?
Right. Now, George, you did bring something up that has been used. I have not reported on it yet because I have not been able to verify it. And the other thing that's going around is that AJ Styles has extended his contract another year. Um, is it, you brought it up that that it was a rumor. So have you heard or been able to verify that it was a rumor, that it wasn't true?
I didn't dig, but I've seen at least two things between Facebook and Instagram that people are posting in it. So I don't know if it's true or not. I know his contract was supposed to end this year, but they never said anything about letting him go. Because I mean, after R-Truth, I wouldn't say anything about letting anybody go at this point because you never know the backlash you're gonna get. So if it's true,
what I do know is this. I think AJ Styles is in his mid-40s. I don't know his age exactly. I think he's 45. He may be a little bit younger. What I do know is the only thing AJ Styles has said about retiring is that he wasn't going to be wrestling when he was 50 years old, right? He said that on WWE a few weeks ago, matter of fact. But as far as him signing only another 1-year deal and then retiring after that, again, I've not been able to confirm that. That's why I haven't even said anything about it. So,
because I hear you on that because I think he's supposed to be like he's somebody that's content with retiring at Mark on the lookup over there, crack staff over here. No, I think AJ's a WWE lifer. He could always go to AEW and wrestle, but it's like I think he's gonna retire with WWE and maybe go back to Japan and do one last tour or something. I don't know. I could see him doing that. No.
Oh, he's 48?
48.
Oh, wow.
I thought he was 46.
Yeah, there could be some.
We got 2 more years of AJ Styles.
that could be legitimate then, because again, AJ Styles, and again, this isn't something I read about or heard about. I literally heard the interview when he said that he would not be wrestling at 50 years old. So maybe he did only sign a 1-year contract. Now, I'll be honest with you. I would love to see AJ Styles do at least one more storyline at TNA, just because when I think of AJ Styles, even as long as he's been in WWE, I always go back to TNA because this is where he first had his extremely successful career start was with TNA. Yeah, he was real big in the indie scene. So for those of you who's like, he was big in the indie scene, I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm saying as far as on any type of a national
Come
level,
on.
it was definitely TNA. And I like TNA AJ Styles. Not that I like WWE AJ Styles, I really do. But I still think of AJ Styles and TNA. So I'd really love to see him go back to TNA, even if it's just for 6 months.
It's like I said, the house that AJ built.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
the real house that AJ built with TNA.
I think he should end it that way. Since
Right.
WWE owns, or TKO, whatever, owns TNA now, or whatever that deal is going
They
on, that's
they
how
do
it should
not.
end
Well,
it.
well, well,
I
I don't want JD. Hold on. I don't want any rumors started off of this podcast. WWE does not, and TKO does not. And I repeat, does not own TNA. They have just partnered with TNA, right?
You heard it here first, brother.
Oh, but let's get into Friday Night Smackdown. Mark, the floor's yours.
Okay, so Solo Sikoa shows up. Jacob Fatu attacks him before he gets out of the car. It looked like, pardon the expression, but he got his bell rung. Come on, I thought that was good. Come on.
I laughed. I laughed.
Okay, sure. Okay. Anyways, next we go to Cody. Cody to the ring, pandering to the crowd. Randy soon to the ring. They have a little back and forth, whatnot. He wants Cody to kick John Cena's ass. I don't see that happening, but whatever. Then Drew comes to the ring. We haven't seen him in what, 6, 8 weeks?
Yeah, but let's do time out for a second. Let's
Hmm.
break this down with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. Yeah, there was a little bit of that we're buddies, respect type of a thing, but man, I'm telling you that we are starting to see that heel side of Randy Orton. Now I think, and I agree when Mark says this, that they can't turn Randy Orton heel because the fans won't boo him. I agree, but it doesn't mean that WWE they won't attempt to make him turn heel. But let me ask you this, because I do feel like they're gonna have a hard time getting these fans to boo him like they would an actual heel. But Randy Orton's pretty damn good, man. Um, I don't know. Do you guys think that Randy Orton, being how good he is, that he can actually draw in enough heat from the fans to have the fans boo him, or is it one of those things that it doesn't matter what Randy Orton does because of the respect the fans have for him, because of the love they have for Randy Orton, that at best will have that anti-hero role, but not a true heel role? George, go first.
um, I don't think he'll have a problem. I think the fans want to see it as much as people talk about they need to turn Cody heel. I think people want to see heel Randy Orton because we don't know how much longer he's going to be around either. So I think it will be respected and appreciated regardless if they cheer him every time he comes out. Because he can do heel stuff and get away with it because he's Randy Orton. It's kind of like, it reminds me a little bit of Jake the Snake Roberts. When Jake was a full-blown good guy, you kind of liked him, but you loved him as a heel. And Ted DiBiase had the same thing. He was a great good guy in Mid-South, but there was like, when it's $1 million man, you couldn't stand him. And people liked him. I mean, shit, they cheer him now when he comes out, even if they're not sure what he's being. So I think Randy Orton has that power to draw the fans into the, oh man, I can't stand that guy. They may not hate him, but they're gonna go, why'd he do that? You know?
Right, right. And JT, you next, but hold on. Before you say something, George made the comment about Ted DiBiase. Man, look, and I've told the story many times, so I won't tell the story. But Ted DiBiase was the first true professional wrestler to break my heart as a child when he turned on JYD. He was the first professional wrestler I also hated as a kid. And you're right, because when Ted DiBiase became the $1 million man in WWE, WWF at the time, I didn't like him, but it wasn't because I wasn't supposed to like him because he was a heel. I couldn't like him because at the time I felt like he quote unquote sold out by going to WWE and taking on this ridiculous gimmick. I appreciate it now. Fuck, I would sell out too. You pay me that much money, you know what I'm saying? But when you're younger, you don't think the same way. So
Right.
What about
And
this?
as a
What
go
about
ahead.
this? So back to the Randy Orton Cody Rhodes thing. What about this? Think about this in the back of your head. How cool would this be if this was a big swerve to turn Cody heel.
I mean, that'd be
Think
awesome,
about
but not
think
to
about
say that that would be cool, JT, but not to say that creative isn't good in WWE.
that's
Obviously,
in the
they
back of
are,
my head right
but at the same time, I don't know if creative in WWE can actually think that deeply. That's just me.
Right.
Um, I think that would be great. I don't think creative has that broad of a thought process though. In creative, I just really don't.
I don't I, I don't know. But like Chris Parks is on there, Abyss is on there. He's pretty creative. I mean, I know him personally, and
Oh wait, is
I,
Chris
I
is Chris?
I'm not saying that's
Oh,
what's happening, or anything, but
right,
that is
right,
in the back of my head. Like, what if they're really going to swerve us and turn Cody? Everybody thinks
right.
it's Randy. They're leading everybody to think it's going to be Randy's going to either be a tweener now or he's going to turn heel. Well, what if Cody turns and joins John Cena?
So JT, hold
I,
on. You just said something. You just said something I was not aware of. When did Chris join WWE? Because that went over. I missed that part. How long has he been with WWE?
oh,
Couple of years.
Chris has
Has
been
he?
with he's been there for years now.
So, but here's the
Yeah, they
question: Is Chris part of creative, or is he? No, he's another agent or producer, if you will, for WWE.
He goes. He's
Is
on
he?
creative and agent. Yeah, he does a dual role.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
well,
He just
I stand to be corrected because Chris does have a brilliant mind when it comes to professional wrestling.
oh
He
yeah.
And
really,
I'll say this on creative too, and they've
Got
been pretty good about
it.
when.
go ahead,
What
George.
people don't realize is he was on marketing. He did before he's a wrestler. He did marketing and stuff for locally for the Cincinnati
Right.
Cyclones.
Yep.
That's his
Yep. I knew
background.
that.
And, but he's
Yep.
very creative. Very.
Yep. Absolutely. Go ahead, George, and then Mark
Oh no,
next.
I was about to say. Then I will give, and maybe this is just me being biased. The creative's a little bit better than they used to be because I mean you got to think about the times where people were cleared for injuries and we didn't know about it, and
Right.
they kept it
Right.
under wraps and they kept. And people feed the dirt sheets, so they pretty sure they fed some bullshit to the dirt sheets just to keep it from spoiling surprises of people coming back. Or they can do it, they can definitely do it. And I could
Yeah.
to piggyback what JC said, it could be that because I mean, look at what they did at Night of Champions when Randy got hurt.
Right.
Cody just took advantage of it. He didn't think about it or hesitate. When everybody's
Right.
fighting Cody, they hesitate to hit him, like Kevin Owens before he did
Right.
the full heel turn. So I mean, they could always do it, but I think Cody has the same thing that Randy has. It's like people love him so much with Cody, he could easily get the heat from the fans because there's fans that want to see him as a heel.
Oh
But in
yeah.
this case,
Absolutely.
I just don't see it working right now. Just because
Right.
it looks
Right.
like Randy's gonna do it, it's like they might as well do it with Randy because John's already a heel. So if Randy's
Well,
not
and
on John's side, you know what I'm saying? So
right. Right. And before we go to Mark, as far as creative being, they are better, 100%. I do agree with that. But I think it all depends on how much Paul Levesque, aka Triple H, has his hand in creative is because and I know everyone likes to hate on Paul Levesque, right? But I'm sorry.
yeah,
Triple H is good. Period. He has proven
yeah.
how good he is with running the company and being involved in creative. But now that I know that Chris is also part of creative, I think a little. I guess my opinion has changed a little bit more about that because again, Chris has a brilliant mind. But as far as Cody Turner Hill, yeah, I agree. John Cena is the heel, the big heel right now, right? So as far as it being at the right time, I can understand why you said that, but I think it's also the right time because of the fact of Cody Rhodes is not the biggest baby face that WWE has, and people will disagree with me, and I don't care when
Right.
it is absolutely Jey Uso is
Yeah.
big baby face in WWE right now. And if you guys want to agree with me, that's your opinion. I respect it.
I 100% agree with that, dude.
The proof is in the pudding. Mark, go ahead.
You know, I've always stated that you try to turn Randy heel, but I think there's just too much respect. As far as Cody turning heel, um, I think it'd be easier than Randy, but I don't think it'd stick very long, to be honest. And the other thing I got to say about Cody, if he's 40, he looks damn good for 40.
Yeah, but look, when it comes to Cody Rhodes, this is the thing. I think they need to turn him heel sooner rather than later because Cody Rhodes has always had an expiration date on a babyface run. People like to boo this guy. They really do. Um, when he went to the indie scene, right? Um, he was a big ass heel because he found more success with being heel in the indie scene. Until people started thinking what he was doing was cool, and then he went to that baby face. AEW, I mean, my God, this was a man who's one of the founders of AEW. This was a man who put everybody else in front of him in AEW because he could have easily been a world champion on AEW because of the fact that he was one of the founders, right? But he didn't. He even took himself completely out of that position of even being able to obtain a world championship by one of the stipulations of his matches. And people still started booing Cody Rhodes. So I think it's going to be the same in WWE. Matter of fact, people have already started booing Cody Rhodes. I think that they should pull the trigger before that catches on and everybody's booing Cody Rhodes while he's supposed to be the baby face. I think that it would add longevity to his marketability if they do this, turning him heel before people just start booing him. Thoughts on that? Agree, disagree?
I agree with what you're saying, but I still don't think it would work right now because I mean you'd have to if he becomes a bigger success as a heel, you take the focus off of John Cena before he retires. If Randy does it, it's Randy. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying that to like slight Randy. I'm just saying like it's Randy Orton. He's a heel anyway. If Cody
Right.
does it, it's like we didn't see it coming. We're happy it's here. It finally happened. But with him being as popular as he is, it might overshadow John's. John's trying to be lackluster run, and that's where I think the problem is with John's heel run being forced. It's like Cody's will be better because people have been waiting for it. Whereas John's, we got it. The story hasn't been as great, but it's starting to get better now. And then it's like you turn him, and that's a wrap for that.
Right. Mark, any thoughts?
I don't really care either way, to be honest. I think if Cody's going to turn heel, he needs to come back eventually as the American Dream, to be honest.
I don't know if they could ever do. Well, you know
Yeah,
what?
I don't know if they do that.
But you know what? I like that idea. If he became heel, him becoming the American Dream, that is basically pissing on Dusty Rhodes' grave, and I think that would give him a shit ton of heat. Bravo, Mark. That would be great.
Oh,
Mark,
you
what's
agree with me? Oh, okay. I thought you were dissing me.
No, that would be phenomenal. I would love it if they did that. And if they now do that, I want commission on this shit because it's one of our guys on this podcast who thought about it.
Kevin's already claiming intellectual property. Here, Mark. Here's your 0.25% of 14 million.
All right, let's get to Drew McIntyre coming in.
All right, so Drew comes out and he's basically calling these guys a bunch of whiny bitches, basically. But he gets in the ring and he tells Randy he's basically a shell of his former self. He couldn't pull the trigger, but Cody could pull the trigger on his injured back. And for his efforts, after he challenges Cody Rhodes, if Cody Rhodes wins at SummerSlam, he gets an RKO.
Yeah, man, look, I am not a Drew McIntyre fan, but he has slowly been growing on me because he is getting better within this character. I think that this should be his character. He should not be a babyface. He should not be a complete heel. He should ride and walk that line like he's basically doing now. But here's a question for everybody. You remember back in the day, a heel was a true heel. Heels lied. They cheated. That's what made them heels. Today's heel, the things that they say, it's almost like you can't disagree with them because they're kind of telling the truth and they're saying the things people don't want to hear, but it doesn't mean that it's not true.
Right,
mean,
the lines are blurred.
yeah, I mean, I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is going on with this shit? I mean, I kind of like it. Don't get me wrong. Definitely, it's true, man. These heels are saying things that it's hard to disagree with them about because they are actually being truthful when they talk about the baby face, well, the character of the baby faces. Is that just me here, or have you guys picked up on that as well?
No, I've picked up on it.
Yeah, it seems to be the theme of the heels now. Like, tell the truth and kind of be over the top about it and see if people disagree with it. It's like you can't. But
Yeah.
Well,
I
they kind
think
of
Drew
embellish
McIntyre.
a little bit.
Yeah, and I think Drew McIntyre's character is an internet troll or something like that. I think it just came to life, and when he first did it, it was great, and everybody was like, "Where's this Drew McIntyre been?" Because I'll be honest, outside of now, I wasn't a big Drew McIntyre fan until he came back. I love the journey. I like him and Cody. I like equally because I like that they went and made themselves and came back. Like that, they're unfortunately in that group of people where I'm like, I'm never saying anything terrible about them unless they do something terrible. Because of that, because they did what Vince McMahon said: go rebuild yourself.
Right. My issue, my issue with Drew McIntyre has always been he has mainly been a baby face, right? Since he's been back, originally came back, right? And
Yeah.
he's always been that good golly gee oh boy type of a baby face. Extremely fucking cheesy. I hate cheesy. This is why I like him in the position that he's in right now because I know that he's supposed to be a heel. I don't view him as a true heel. He's kind of that guy that just walks the line. He doesn't give a fuck about the crowd chanting for him, but he doesn't give a fuck about them booing either. He cares about his career. That's how I view his character now, and I like it. JT, by the way, you hear him calling you JT, you whiny little bitch. JT, JT, JT. You got it now.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, my man. What's your thought on that? What do you thought about this segment with Drew McIntyre? And what do you think about Drew McIntyre as a whole?
Look, I was never a fan of Drew until, like you guys said, until he came back and made his journey. I agree with George. I'm the same way, dude. I like it when guys let go and they reinvent themselves because that shows their passion for the business. Because some guys just give up. I mean, look, you're reading the news all the time about these guys from NXT or wherever get released and they don't reinvent themselves. They just go on the indie circuit and hope to come back. Whereas you got guys that are truly, in my opinion, passionate because you're going to do what it takes to get back on TV and to get back on contract, right? You're not just going to sit there and dwell on it or just throw it away. I mean, you want to come back, and that's what Drew did. He reinvented himself. Now, there's a couple things I don't like that he does. But it is what it is, and I like. He needs to stay as like a tweener type gimmick.
Yeah, and
I mean, I think
speaking of
way.
you know what? I think it would be great if you could reinvent yourself in pro wrestling, but unfortunately for you, you can't grow another pair of legs, so you're where you're at.
Hey, now
Yeah.
Zach Gowen goes with one leg.
Hey,
Now-
I am researching stem cell therapy stuff.
Now, real quick though, something that you said that you don't like everything he does. I can tell you the biggest thing that I hate that he does, and I think that now that he's not. Yes. Well, no. Being that he's not a babyface, a true babyface anymore, this whole thing of the counting before he does his finisher, the 1, 2, 3 count, get rid of it because that is a babyface thing. That's include my fans and counting, and let me please the audience. Get rid of that shit.
Oh, come on, he's paying homage to the 3-man band.
Fuck that. Okay, they were losers. All right. Matter of fact, one of them, his gimmick, Slater was, he had all these kids living in a trailer. Well, you know what? Now that he's been released to WWE, he's not doing a goddamn thing. He really is now living in a trailer with all kind of kids. So that gimmick came true. Not a big fan of the 3-man band. I think that was dumb as shit. One of the dumbest they've ever had in professional wrestling. They've had a lot of dumb shit. Anyway,
it was just too cheesy for you.
Absolutely. And the 1, 2, 3 count, is cheesy as well. I think that if he lost that count, it would make his finisher considered deadly because the finisher he does, he can literally come out of nowhere, if you will, like Randy Orton, and do that finish. Right now, with him having a count, the 1, 2, 3, he's kind of stuck, being able to do that finish right at that moment. Get rid of it. That's just my 2 cents. Mark, what is your thoughts on the whole segment? And I know you're a Drew McIntyre fan.
I do like Drew actually. I think him reinventing himself in TNA did a lot for him. Of course, the fact that he probably gained 40 to 50 pounds in TNA, came back looking like a friggin' Hulk, didn't hurt him either.
Yep.
Actually, it did wonders for his career. I think Drew's in a position where he could almost have that Hulk Hogan schedule and just show up when he wants to show up. And I think it's almost better for his career to do so. I don't always see him as a top tier guy, but I see him more of a special event kind of guy. Either to help somebody along with their career or put somebody over.
High mid card.
Pardon me, high mid card, yeah. I mean, I think he's easy to insert in a main event, but I don't see him maintaining a main event status.
So I'm going to disagree with you when you said he almost had that type of schedule. I'm sorry, guys. I think Drew McIntyre is someone that's very forgettable if he's not in the spotlight, on a regular basis for a long time. That's just me. So I disagree. I don't think he's not even close to having that Hulk Hogan or the Roman Reigns or the CM Punk type schedule.
No, but I think he's got that because he got a pretty decent pop when he showed up Friday night.
Absolutely.
And I think he's more of a specially enhanced talent than a mainstay talent.
Right.
And
don't
he wouldn't be on.
Right, and don't misunderstand what I'm saying because look, I say that about this podcast all the time. We don't bury talent on here because it's just disrespectful. I think Drew, especially for a big guy, he is very good in the ring. I won't ever take that away from him. But when it comes to his gimmick, I don't think he's someone that could be gone for 6 months to a year and just come back on top. I think if he comes back, he has to come back at a lower mid card level and then work his way back to the top. That's just my opinion. But again, I am not taking away from the fact that a guy that his size, he could go in the ring because a lot of big guys, it's basically about their presence. They're not the best pro wrestlers inside the square circle. Drew McIntyre covers it all. He's good on the mic. He's great in the ring. I just, again, for some reason, I think that
not your cup of tea.
not my cup of tea. And if he's gone for longer than 6 months or a year, he's coming back at the lower mid card level before he's able to get back to the top. Versus a Hulk Hogan, a Roman Reigns, a CM Punk, they can be gone that long, and when they get back, they're getting back just about right back into that main event role.
Yeah,
but you got to look.
Go ahead, Mark.
You got to look at what we grew up on too, as far as big men. John Studd, King Kong Bundy, One Man Gang. Drew's easily within 2 inches, 3 inches of all these guys, and his ability in the ring puts these guys to shame. I mean, when would you see John Studd climb to the third rope? Never. King Kong Bundy, One Man Gang, never.
The One Man Gang was actually.
But you did Bam Bam Bigelow.
But Bam Bam Bigelow wasn't 6'7" either.
Again, the One Man Gang actually was. He could hold his own in the ring for a big guy. So could Bundy, and so could who you just mentioned, JT.
Bam Bam.
Yeah, Bam Bam.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, forget my favorite, Vader.
He was a good.
Yep, Vader was good. Although Vader was known as being the stinkiest guy. Vader was known as being the stinkiest guy in the ring because if you read numerous stories about him, he did not wash his ring gear while he was on tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah. Well.
Imagine that. But yeah, go ahead, Mark. Let's get to the next one.
All right, so next we go to Charlotte Flair with Nick Aldis. Nick's explaining to her that her and her tag team partner are going to be in a match. If they win, they're going to get a tag team title shot in Evolution. Charlotte Flair kind of has a hissy fit. She doesn't need a partner, doesn't want a partner. And Alexis Bliss shows up. Charlotte explains she doesn't need a partner, doesn't want a partner, doesn't want anybody to share the spotlight with her. And Alexis Bliss so tastefully explained to her that she hasn't been in the spotlight in a long time.
Yeah. So this is my issue. I understand what WWE is trying to do. They're trying to get her back into the good graces of the fans, right? I honestly believe that that's really what they're trying to do. This is the problem with how they're doing it, and we haven't got there yet, and we'll get to it. But I'm going to talk about it now. Throughout SmackDown, we've seen numerous backstage segments with Charlotte Flair, with her kind of being funny, I guess, trying to be funny or sweet or whatever. The issue is this. I don't think me or anybody else can buy it. I don't think Charlotte Flair has it in her to be in that comedy role like they had her on Friday night. I think it came across as fake. And yeah, I didn't like it at all whatsoever. Charlotte Flair is a natural. Hold on, JT. Charlotte Flair is a natural heel. She has that look of a heel. She is definitely the daughter of Ric Flair, who was the man who cheated the dirtiest player of the game. And that's how I view Charlotte Flair. I just do. I don't understand why WWE is not wanting to capitalize and ride this heat that she's been having since she's been back. JT, you go first, then Mark, and then George.
They're throwing whatever they can against the wall and trying to see what'll stick with her is what it is. That's what I see.
But being a heel was sticking. For the love of God, she had major heat.
I know. I agree.
Mark?
You know, she doesn't have the finesse that Flair, her father, did. Because Flair could pull off a heel and he could pull off a face. You know, and even as a face, he could still cheat and people would love him. You know, I think with Charlotte's career, they're trying to cram as much of it in that her father did in 30 years that she's trying to do in 20 years. All right, and because she's gonna tie his record easily somewhere along the way, and if not surpass him, you know. And it took him 30 plus years to get there, you know. And she's gonna do it in 20 years, you know.
Yeah, and the thing is what you just said about when Rick was a babyface. The thing is that when Ric Flair was a babyface, you could buy that he was a babyface. You were able to, he sold it, we bought it because that's how good he was. Charlotte, I don't think that she could sell being that babyface at all. Yeah. George, what say you?
So I'm kind of mixed on it because I feel like the heat she got after winning the Rumble was like organic because nobody wanted her to win. The heat she got with Tiffany, nobody wanted her in the match. So it was, again, organic. The promos and stuff she was trying to cut after winning the Rumble, it's like I don't know if she was like trying to play to the crowd she's mad because the crowd was booing her and stuff like that. And I just didn't like any of that leading up to this. It's like she's too busy worried about the crowd instead of just playing the role. So like you said, why don't they play off of it? I think they just let her go out there and feel it out. And she does whatever she wants once she gets on the mic because she has that kind of pull. So to kind of deal with the heat she's getting, it's kind of hard because it's like you want her to go out there and cut a good promo on her opponent, but then she's paying attention to the what? She's worried about the boos. she's too ADHD with her promos a lot of times. And now we fast forward to this, where they're trying the comedy stuff, but I think that's part of what they're, it's life imitating, wrestling imitating life, where people don't want her in certain positions. So now Alexa Bliss is the fans saying, "Hey, man, maybe you need to scale it back since you haven't been in the scene in a while." And she's like, "No, I'm Charlotte Flair." It's like, that doesn't matter, you know what I'm saying? And that's where we're going with this. But it's like, as far as what they're doing, I don't know.
But here's the question, George.
You
You
know,
just said something. Hold on, Mark. You just said something that, you know, they're doing this because of the fact of they want her to cut a good promo, but because of the way the fans were treating her, she wasn't able to cut a good promo. Wouldn't that be a crack in how good she is then? Because someone that is really that good on the mic should be able to cut a promo, even if they're being booed. I mean, for the love of God, look at Dirty Dom. I mean, the man couldn't talk without
Yeah.
being booed out the building, and he was able to capitalize on this. So, is Charlotte Flair really as good as she thinks she is? Go ahead, Mark.
That's a good question.
Ric Flair would come across as narcissistic, but you could almost tell he was playing a part because he was so over the top. When Charlotte Flair talks, you believe she's narcissistic.
Right, right.
Yep.
And
So,
people who are narcissistic gets booed.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
narcissists are very persuasive. All right. So how Charlotte's not persuasive is beyond me, but it just goes to show you that she is actually pretty versatile.
yeah, yeah. All right, let's get to the next match.
Oh shit. Oh well, next Drew comes in and he demands a match against Randy Orton, and he's granted that at main event, I believe. Yep.
Yep.
So
And that goes to show you why I say that Drew is not a true heel, because heels don't demand matches against said opponents. Heels actually try to get out of matches against said opponents.
all right. So then next Jacob comes in and he gets kind of scolded a little bit for attacking Solo, but Nick says you find a partner and you can face Solo and Cobbs tonight. And then all of a sudden Jimmy walks in, and am I mistaken? But did Jimmy say yeet?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I thought he was anti-yeet. Also, real quick,
Apparently not.
not to jump ahead, but I'm going to jump ahead. When Jimmy was introduced tonight, they claimed he weighed 251 pounds. Now this is a guy that weighed like less than 220 3 years ago. Now he's 250. All right. Now either he's covering up a hell of a dad bod because he didn't get muscle mass, that's for sure.
Mark. Remember who his dad is.
I was just about to say that, George.
I don't know, but they said 251, and I about fell off my chair. I'm like, what? Okay, sure. All right, but we'll touch on that later. All right, so next we go to the match with Charlotte Bliss, the Sacred Hearts or whatever they're called, Minshew and B-Fab. This kind of match just kind of left me wanting, I guess. I really
Yeah.
couldn't get into it. Charlotte
Now,
and Bliss pick up the win,
right.
so they're going to face
Let's not forget what was on the line, which was the number one contendership at the our women's
Evolution. Yeah.
Now, let's not make any mistakes about it. You know goddamn well that Bliss and Flair are going to become tag team champions. I don't know. Maybe look, whenever Kane and Brian Daniels first became a tag team, I'm like, this was never going to work, and I was wrong. It actually worked very well. I am saying that Bliss and Charlotte won't work as a tag team, but again, I could be very wrong. Maybe they will figure something out where the fans are going to love them together. I don't know. Mark, do you think that there's opportunity for these two to really groove together so well that the fans are going to love it?
Yeah, I do, but it's ultimately going to lead to a betrayal with Charlotte turning on Bliss, or on the rare occasion that Charlotte Bliss turns on Charlotte and Charlotte becomes a face. Um, yeah, I think Bliss can carry this team into a likable position. But again, you already know what's going to happen, so it's already pre-written, preordained, or whatever you want to call it. Um, as far as I'm winning, I couldn't even tell you who the current tag team women champions are.
Yeah. Well, it is
The Judgment Day.
Judgment Day.
Oh,
Right.
that's right.
Right.
That's right.
Right. But here's the thing. I agree that normally it would be Flair turning on Bliss. But again, I just have this feeling for whatever reason, WWE wants Charlotte to be a babyface so badly that they're going to have Bliss turn on Charlotte. I personally think it's going to explode in their faces, though, because I think that if Bliss does turn on Charlotte, I think the fans is going to cheer
Yep.
instead of booing her.
Absolutely.
George, what say you?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe a turn by Bliss, not Charlotte, since they're trying to do that. I think it'll be the disgruntled tag team. It'll work for a few months. They win the belt if they win the belt, because I actually think Roxanne and Raquel keeping the belts would be more interesting for when Liv comes back. But I
I
know
agree.
WWE likes to intertwine stories too. So I mean, maybe this only goes to Evolution and they split up after that and they start the feud then. Because I mean, they were already fighting each other anyway, but they keep fighting over title shots and Money in the Bank and all this stuff. So why not keep it going? Keeps them with something to do. The crowd loves Alexa Bliss. They love to hate Charlotte. So let's actually make it a feud now where they're actually trying to kill each other instead of, all right, we got to work together since you haven't been in the spotlight in like a gazillion years. But at the same time, if they win the belts, we could get more comedy skits, Triple H era comedy skits, not Vince McMahon comedy skits. So it shouldn't be over the top like it used to be. Although they
Yeah.
were funny when Vince did them, but I'm
Yeah.
just
Now,
saying it's two different eras.
to counter what you're saying, though, they could very easily have Roxanne and Raquel drop those titles to Bliss and Charlotte because what's her name? Liz is going to be out for almost a year, is what they're saying. So if
Mm-hmm.
that's the case, there are plenty enough time for Raquel and Roxanne to actually get those titles back right before Liz comes back. Now you have Liz and Raquel that are even closer together because they were able to actually work to get these titles back together instead of just putting,
Yeah.
and then you have Liz coming in, and that's the whole thing. JT, your thoughts?
I I definitely here. I'm going to take betting odds now. If you guys want to get in on this, that at some point they're definitely going to do. Alexa Bliss is going to introduce a Charlotte Flair doll that's going to look like her doll. It's going to be all messed up. She's going to introduce it to Charlotte, trying to win her over. That's going to happen. I see that happening. I see that happening. I'm telling you what.
Now,
I
Yep.
can
I
see
think that
WWE creative doing that. What? It will happen.
if they do
I
that,
don't doubt
I
that
want to
one
see
bit, to
this
be
doll.
honest.
If they do this, I want the doll to have that mole on its chin that Charlotte, had the
Yes.
surgery to get off. That way, you could have Charlotte just hating it, and it would add more fire to the gas.
Oh yeah.
I
No, I really
agree.
think they're going to do that. I think they're going to tease that at some point. I think they are going to tease a doll to kind of like get their, it's going to be like a peace offering kind of thing.
Yeah,
I see that going into the storyline.
yeah, yeah. Now, would it be
Yeah.
great if it was actually
I
a Ric
just
Flair? Would it be great if it was a Ric Flair doll just dressed in girl clothes, just to really piss Charlotte off? All right, Mark.
definitely.
All right. So next we go backstage with a tag team turmoil where everybody's complaining about last week and what happened, whatever. So Nick Aldis says, all right, well, one member of each team is going to face off against the White Sick, and we're going to have it going. The rest of you guys stay back. All right, so then we go to the White Six versus Chris Sabin, Montel Ford, Johnny Garano, and Humberto
Yep.
versus Gacy, Uncle Howdy, Eric, and Dexter Loomis. White Six actually this is a pretty action packed match, but White Six actually got the win. I was shocked and surprised. Um, course, they should. They got more experience tagging together, I guess. But nonetheless, I always thought they were just using them for jobbers. So I was kind of surprised they got the win. And they got a pretty good pop on the way out, to be honest.
They did, but this is the thing. I think that in order to keep the Wyatt six, and by the way, I checked it, and the six part is spelled SIKS, the Wyatt six. So
Okay.
anyway, to keep them in the good graces of fans, where the fans just don't start booing them, where this thing isn't working anymore. I really think that these guys should be. You want to talk about a special attraction? You're talking about Drew McIntyre. These are the ones that should be kept as a some type of a special attraction. Instead of I think that if they are on the TV every single week, that this
It's
gimmick
gonna
is
kill it.
going, yep, absolutely kill it 100%.
Yep. And
But
everything that we're trying to build to be a dedication to Wyatt Bray is going to fall, and just it's going to be meaningless if they continue to use them every week, like you said. If they use them as a special attraction, that'll keep his memory alive, rather than because they'll bury it. They'll end up burying the whole premise why they were even doing this in the first place. And so they need to be careful how they do this.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead,
kind of
Josh.
going to disagree. I'm going to disagree with that because that kind of puts them in a position where you get the 50-50. You got fans that don't want them there as the Wyatt Six and all of that stuff. You got, well, I'd say 50, but it might be a bigger percentage than that. But you get a group of people who are like, oh, are they still there? Are they even using them? And then you get, hey, here's how we going to do it. So I actually like them being in the tag team division because you can keep the gimmick, for lack of a better term, you can keep the gimmick going without it compromising on like the heavyweight title or the U.S. title or something like that. Like how the Fiend was with the Universal title. It's like I like seeing Bray Wyatt in the main event picture, but his gimmick doesn't really say wrestling. It says sports entertainment. So it's like I don't mind the Wyatt Six being in the tag team division because a lot of our tag teams back in the day were gimmicks, and even though they put on great matches, or most of them did, a lot of the gimmicks came from the crazy hokey stuff came from the tag teams more than it did the singles wrestlers, unless the single wrestler was in the mid card or the lower tier. So I'm okay with them being on TV every week because I mean you can't really justify them not being on TV because when everybody says, "Oh, this group's always posting promos and doing this," like they're always showing something reference to them. You got Alexa Bliss running around, everybody thinks she's going to join the group. Might as well keep them separate. She's doing her thing, and the Wyatt Six is doing a whole other thing. And I do understand the lessons more though, but it's just kind of hard. You got like it's 5 wrestlers. They gotta wrestle. So I mean, it's better they be in the tag team division than not be on TV and everybody wondering why they're there. Or if they're
Agree.
Yeah. Yep. Mark.
I'm just happy to see that some of them guys get camera time, to be honest. Casey's a hell of a talent. Dexter Loomis is an oddity I enjoy. Eric I can do without. Bo Dallas, I think Bo Dallas is phenomenal talent. Just couldn't find the right gimmick. And I don't know if this is necessarily the right gimmick for him, but I'm happy that he's on getting camera time, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely better than the whole the old his gimmick that he had.
believe.
Yeah, believe. Jesus Christ, that was
Actually,
terrible.
that gimmick
You didn't like
was
Believe?
better than. I didn't like the B team.
Right.
Oh my
I hated the
God.
B team.
Oh my God, go away.
I'll take
Oh
any
my
gimmick
God.
Bo
you just
Dallas
had to
has but
bring
the
that
B
up.
team.
You just had to
Axel
bring that
Curtis
up,
and
didn't
Bo
you?
Dallas, come on. Come on.
Give me the old
Axel Curtis is a
NXT
hero.
Bo Dallas. Oh my God, no.
Believe.
Mm. Mm-mm.
Let's get to
Curtis
the next
Oh, and
Axel
by
was
the
underutilized.
he
Yes, he
he
was.
was.
Matter of fact, Curtis Axel is so good that when The Rock came back, I think to face John Cena, he actually trained The Rock, retrained The Rock. And
Yeah,
it
I
was
think
at The Rock's request.
for some reason
Yeah.
he didn't have it on screen. No, he was just a really good wrestler, and I think that's the problem. I don't think he was bad
Yeah.
at any stretch, but it's
Well,
everybody
he
wanted
just,
Mr. Perfect, and he wasn't trying to do that.
Right.
you know,
Yep.
he's a phenomenal performer. He just is flat on the mic.
Yep.
He's probably worse than Lance Storm.
Oh,
I agree with you on that one.
that's bad.
And I really hate to say that because I really, really, really like Curtis Axel.
Yeah. 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 I agree. All right.
Hey, can I touch on something?
Yeah.
Before Mark goes on? We did skip over the segment that led to the Wyatt Six 8-man tag. They had the Fraxium. They volunteered Fraxium to take on Andrade and Ray Phoenix at the beginning of that segment. That set up a really cool tag team match. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I did mention the tag team turmoil, but yeah, I did overlook that. Sorry.
No, you good.
All right, so next we got a Julia vignette, and I'm kind of mixed on Julia because she speaks fairly decent English, but she goes into her Japanese dialect or whatever. I think she's a surprisingly good talent for the amount of time she's been there. But I don't know how to take her as of yet. To me, she's almost like an Oscar ripoff from 4 years ago.
Indeed.
What? What'd you say? What'd you say?
I said indeed. I said indeed.
He did the Funaki impersonation again.
I do that every time. I'll do that every time we talk about Io Sky or Osaka and them. I will always sit there and say indeed
Fair enough.
because they need to
You
stop.
know, it's hard to believe that she's Japanese, though. She just does not.
Right,
look like-
right.
So I looked that up with Julia. Well, she looks like she doesn't look full Japanese. She's half Italian, half Japanese. So that's why her English is so well. She's multilingual and very beautiful. All right, so yeah, she's mixed with, but she's built from Tokyo, but she's actually Italian too.
All right, fair enough. So next we go to Tiffany to the ring. Jade comes out and says, "You need to make the right choice," And Tiffany says, "Well, I'm glad you're out here, but I got a surprise for you." And all of a sudden, Trish Stratus shows up, and Trish looks better than she did probably a year ago, to be honest.
Yeah,
So
but this is the thing,
Church is always hot.
and I'm sure you guys are gonna say yeah, but this is a match I don't want to see. Let's not forget that the last match that she was in, although it was a tag team match, it was the worst match of the night. The fans just were not, in it, and it would happen in Canada, where she's from. Nothing against Trish Stratus. She is absolutely a legend. She absolutely paved the way for today's women's wrestling. But I just don't want to see this match. To me, unless they plan on swerving us, it's predictable. This is just another match to say this is why Tiffany's a champion, to try to make her even more legitimate because she's going to beat Trish Stratus.
No,
Yep,
I don't know if
I
I'd
agree.
bet the rent on that. All right, because I think they'd rather have Jade take the title off of Trish than off of Tiffany. To be honest, it'd do more for Jade's career than Tiffany's career. To be honest, and it still keeps Tiffany untouched on Jade, and
Yeah.
it builds a later match between Jade and Tiffany.
Then why wouldn't they just do a match for well, I guess you wouldn't be having the title taken off of Trish. I was gonna say, why don't they just do a match for number one contendership between Jade and Trish Stratus? But it wouldn't mean as much if Jade beat.
Right.
So yeah.
So
I don't know.
I think it's a way for Jade to get the belt with saving Tiffany's face.
I don't think they're going to sway that way. I don't think they're going to do that. I think I agree with KT on this. This is just Tiffany's going to beat Trish. They could have Jade do a run-in, even though it's Evolution and it's, to celebrate the women's wrestlers and stuff, and they're probably going to try and keep it positive for the most part. I wouldn't be surprised if Jade, interrupts the match and costs Tiffany the match or something like that, and maybe gets into, not to make her a heel or anything, just for, showing her passion for how much she wants to sell. And they can spin it however they want, and I don't think the crowd would think any different because they really don't respect Jade like they should, because if they're trying to make her a face, then I guess the crowd just doesn't get behind her like they used to in AEW and when she first got there. But it's just like they're not booing her yet. I
Okay,
can
so
see her absolutely. Yep, good.
let me ask you this. All right, so there's always the wild card of Naomi cashing in and her winning the belt. Would you rather see Naomi versus Jade?
I mean, we could, but they're going to do that. So, I mean, they're going to do that match with
Absolutely
man,
not.
she's cashing in the belt. She's cashing in. I think she's going to cash it in if Jade wins it. Like I don't see her
too.
pulling a Seth Rollins and making it a triple threat. She's going to wait whether she wins or loses the match. Like I see her cashing in when Jade wins it.
I agree.
So I don't know. And also to shout out to Superficial Bob, I forgot those three was talking when Trish Stratus came out. I stopped listening. So I just seen like three nice looking women in the ring and they were in the wrestling ring. That made it better. So there's that part.
Yes, it was a sight to behold. As
Sorry,
Bob would
guys.
say.
Tiffy looks like a goddamn bird to me. The pointy ass nose. She's a woodpecker. But
Hey,
that's
KG, she's got more than a face, okay? You're going to make me throw my Mountain Dew here.
Well, Kevin doesn't care because it wasn't Megan Bain.
Dude, I don't like Megan Bain because of the way she looks. I like Megan Bain because she's a bigger woman and she throws punches like a guy. Instead of this girly shit that they do with the women.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in Fit Family for that. He needs to teach those women to punch better.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Too many hard hitters in the backstage as ring agents and not teaching them how to punch. That's awful.
Yeah, we don't need to see any more Ripleys being thrown.
No.
Oh my
No. All right. Let's get to the next one, Mark.
All right, so next we go
On that note.
Next we go to Jade backstage, and her and Trish exchange some words, and then Naomi comes up and smacks her from behind with her briefcase. And Jade demands a match against Naomi.
Next.
All right.
Next.
Next we go to Faxum versus Andrade and Ray Phoenix. You know what? This is match of the night for me.
Yep.
This was
Yes.
a damn good match, and the pairing of Ray Phoenix and Andrade is flawless in my opinion. They gave Fraxum their first defeat.
Yep.
Yep.
The only way that this team could have looked better was if they had him with his brother. The only way.
Yep.
Otherwise, like you said, flawless. Match of the night, 100%.
That match was amazing, man. And it just,
Now hold on now.
you.
If they can't have Penta, I'd add Aleister Black.
No, not for this one.
No.
You guys
Alberto?
you guys are so wrong.
No,
I love Aleister Black, but that's not the match for him.
No, because they have two different styles. What makes this so good is they have such similar styles. I tell you, not only was this the match of the night, it left me a little shocked because I didn't think this would be the team to be the first ones to beat Fraxium. So bravo for that as well.
Yep. Which shows me that they might push this team.
Yeah,
they got a pretty good response last week when they put them together. So I think they got something. And, what better way to have a shiny new toy than to have two? So you got Fraxton, who, Triple H loves and he's going to push to the moon. But, they needed something for Andrade to do, which we've all said that multiple times. It's like, we can't do this with Rusev and whoever on Monday nights. But Andrade is just sitting there, like crowds feeding off him. They finally like him. Like, it's just like it was in NXT where the crowd finally warmed up to Andrade and then turned him heel. And that made him better. In this case, we already know what he can do. He's just sitting there. They keep fighting him with Carmelo and chasing the U.S. title. It's like, we need to get something else besides that. So, Ray Phoenix and Penta, two different brands. It's way better than just putting everybody in LWO or Legato. Put those two together, let them run the tag team division with Fraxton and see what happens. You might get a best of 7 with those two teams. Who knows?
I think it's a good addition to the tag team division in Smackdown. I really do. You know, not that I don't like the butt or the Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, and whoever else is involved. You know, they're all good teams, but it needs to be a little freshened up. And I think
Yeah,
this
I
is a
agree.
nice
What
freshen
about
up.
hey? What about team up Andrade and Alberto? That'd be a good
Del
team.
Rio?
No, absolutely not.
Seriously, why
I think
not? Why not?
they kept him on. They kept him under contract just to keep him in AAA. I don't think he's going to touch the WWE stuff.
No,
Like, they
no, they're
didn't.
not going to bring him up.
I don't. And then I think
Right,
it's
so
changed.
bring Andrade, take Andrade down there. Take Andrade down there to Triple
No,
H.
man.
Team those two
No.
together. That'd be a good tag. That'd be a good tag team, though.
I don't like
I think
Alberto
Alberto Del
anymore.
Rio's
No.
past his prime.
Yeah, I don't. He was good when he was there the first time. That's it. So the League of Nations stuff started, and then that ruined all of their all of their juice.
I'd
No,
rather
I
see
think-
Carlito come back.
Yeah. No, I think Santos Escobar and Andrade practically have the same gimmick as Alberto, so we can't really do that. And besides, KG didn't like three-man band. We can't do it again.
Right.
Why you can call them the Three Amigos?
Oh, God. I would stop.
Or three
I would
chili
stop
cheese
watching-
Doritos.
I will stop.
Call them the
watching
three
whatever
chili cheese
brand-
Doritos.
I will
This
watch. I will
podcast-
stop watching whatever show they put Alberto on. I would not watch it.
Yeah, especially with the rumors of Paige coming back. They can't do that. They got to keep him where he's at.
Oh, and in case you guys didn't remember, this match was brought to you by Superman.
Oh, my God.
God, go
I
away.
hate you, JT.
Well,
I hate
promotion.
you.
You sure it wasn't brought to you by Max Moon?
Let's get to the next match.
All right, so we finally end up with Jacob Fatu, Jimmy versus Solo and Jeff Cobb. I don't care what they want to put him as. He's Jeff Cobb.
Jeff Cobb Mateo.
Right. So again, Jimmy's weighing in at 251. Sure.
So
Jacob gets. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was gonna say it was after the match that I had a problem, and this is my problem. And they do this with every heel that turns baby face. Jacob Fatu was taking bumps and basically no selling them because of how much of a badass he is. Right now, all of a sudden, that he is a baby face. The very same bumps he was taking and not selling and getting up from are now the bumps that is actually keeping him down. I hate that shit.
That is professional wrestling to a T. It's like, why is he not unstoppable now?
You know, I got a quick laugh out of they put him through the reinforced table. Reinforced my ass.
Oh, they just made it thicker to slam him through.
Yeah,
but it's reinforced.
It's so reinforced that the table one time collapsed where they barely touched it.
Right.
They had the new tables have the cushion already in it instead of under it.
Yeah. That's something Michael Cole would say. They're reinforced tables he put him through. Whatever.
Dude, hey, you say that. I have not heard Joe Tessitore not say it. They're the reinforced table. If I hear that one more time, dude, I'm like, what kind of table is it?
So here's a question for all of you. Do you think now that Fatu is a babyface, and I know why they did it, people would just chant it for him, even when he was a heel, when he was facing other popular baby faces, those baby faces would get booed because people love Fatu so much. I get it, understand that. But because they are treating this baby face turn, or this heel turn to baby face, the way they treat every, baby face, where they're the ones that's getting their asses kicked and getting hurt, because of the way they were pushing Fatu as this unstoppable force, now all of a sudden he's soft. Do you think that this could possibly hurt his mystique, if you will?
It sure hurt Braun Strowman.
Yep. And Bronson Reed.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts to an extent. I'll agree with that. I don't know that Jacob couldn't overcome it though. It's I'm not gonna say it's Rhea Ripley, Jey Uso status yet, but his popularity and buzz coming in kept him afloat to this far to get to the babyface status because we all knew he was there. We all knew he was coming, and we all know what they didn't want, and it happened anyway, so they had to go with it. So,
But here's the question. Hold on. Let's stop at that point though.
Yeah,
Let's stop. Hold on. Let's stop at this point though. What fans loved about Fatu was the fact that he was this crazy monster, if you will, that you just couldn't hurt him, right? So they're actually taking that away from what fans loved about Fatu.
Yeah, in a sense, in the WWE sense, but if most fans know him already, so it's like we know he's a good worker. So it's like that's the problem. He's not Umaga. He's not the great Khali. He's Jacob Fatu. He's a big man, like we were talking about Drew McIntyre earlier, that can do everything. This is a Vader, Bam Bam Bigelow, even Bronson Reed. Those two, him and Jacob Fatu are those guys that can go out there and be monsters, or they can be, they can be vulnerable. Unfortunately, it's that same wrestling format that we see every time. It's like this dude was unstoppable until now. All of a sudden, he's not getting up anymore. So I like I said, I agree. It does kind of hurt the Mystique, but he's not the monster that Umaga was. You know what I'm saying? He's not even though we knew Umaga before with the 3-minute warning and all that stuff. Umaga went reverse. It was like he was the bad guy that could be beat up, then he became that. Jacob's the guy that everybody knows is a badass. He's more on the level of Braun Breaker in that badass sense. It's like he can be beat up. When he was a heel, it was a bit more monstrous because it's like, oh, he's getting up. Don't headbutt a Samoan because he's gonna headbutt. But he'd get up and whoop your ass if you headbutt him. Even if
he's got
look, if it gets too bad, hey, and if it gets too bad, once again, don't worry. They can always turn him back heel again. So that's all that matters.
Yeah.
But he's got shades of Haku written all over him.
Yeah. And Haku was eventually vulnerable, but I mean, he was a monster all the way out to the end.
Yeah, until after what? The 13 cops he kicked the shit out of?
Right. But there you go, guys. That was our recap of SmackDown. SmackDown was a pretty decent show on Friday. I'd give it a solid B, George.
I agree with that, solid B. There are things that could have been done better, but it was a B.
Yep.
For it being 2 hours, it felt like 3 to me.
So what grade? What would you rate it at?
I'd give it a C+.
Wow, you're nuts.
He didn't like the segment.
To me, it just didn't flow like it should have. It had some high points, but it could have flowed better.
JT?
I want to give it a D+. No, I'm just kidding. I want to give it a B too. No, I want to give it a B.
Dead Man?
Yeah. That's a D+ for Dead Man.
Brought to you by Superman.
We got to get him a shirt with a big D on it.
Right. That's what she said.
I'll give it a B. I'll agree with KG and George. I'll give it a B. I'll give it a B. I'll give it a solid B.
Cool. Guys, tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central, I will have Dave Ruby on. Great guy. He has his own podcast. He also is an indie wrestler. Join me for that. Again, 6 p.m. Central. Also, don't forget Tuesday, you're going to have Mark, JT, George, and Bob Cook to do a recap of Monday Night Raw. So hit that subscribe button. Until then, you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. And George, do you have anything to push? Or you want to wait till Tuesday?
I'll wait till Tuesday this time. Let's go to Pro Wrestling Tees and buy me and Bob's shirts. How about that?
There you go. There you go. Wrestling Tees. Check that out, guys. Until then, like I said, you guys have a great Sunday. See you guys tomorrow for that interview and then Tuesday for the recap of Raw.